Big things are happening in Parliament today. Welcome back to Moose on Loose. My name's David. Today, we're going through the GC strategies, Christian Firth testimony. There's a fire truck or something outside. This thing is 3.5 hours long. There's also a second one that just dropped, which is another 4.5 hours. So we're going to take some time to get through this, but we're going to break these off into clips here. First off, we've got Garnet Genius, who is just dropping bombs on Christian Firth. It is unbelievable what you're about to hear here. The Conservatives are asking all the best questions. In general, the Liberals ask lackluster, just generic questions, except one of them, there's one Liberal actually asked good questions. There's the one NDP guy who asked good questions, and the Bloc was asking dumb questions. What you're about to hear here is Garnet asking him about how much GC strategy makes, the amount of money that is missing because Christian didn't submit the proper receipts showing the amount of money. So there's like a couple $1 million missing, and then he goes over how much he actually made, apparently, off of all this 19 million, 22 million, whatever it may be. How this works with the testimonies, they get 5 minutes each and then they're cut off and then they go to another person, another person, another person. When it comes back, then they resume the question. So I've gone through and cut the 5-minute blocks off, which ends up being the same storyline as they're trying to get to the bottom of their single kind of one topic usually.
So I want to try in my round of questions to follow the money that was spent. The Auditor General's report estimates $59.5 million spent on the app, and further that your company received directly $19.1 million of that money, even though by your own admission, all that you did was recruitment of other individuals and companies. That's an incredible sum for quote unquote recruitment. But you told the committee that the Auditor General's information is not correct. You dispute the 19.1 million figure. You say it was only 11 million. Is that correct?
The application build, that's correct.
Okay, so what happened to the missing 8.1 million? What do you think accounts for the discrepancy?
Well, so you'll see in my evidence package, we've actually invoiced CBSA in 3 years, close to $22 million, approximately. I'm not disputing the fact that $19 million wasn't invoiced through my company monthly. I'm disputing that $19.1 million is completely attributed towards the ArriveCAN application build.
Okay, so your testimony is that you've received 22 million from CBSA over the same period. You simply are disputing the categorization of it as being all related to ArriveCAN. What I would add to this in terms of frankly the absurdity is that the invoices that you've submitted to this committee, some of which are very kind of vague and unclear in terms of what they actually refer to, but they add up to 9.6 million. So you've shown this committee invoices for 9.6 million. You've also said you got 11 million that you categorize as related to ArriveCAN, and 22 million in total. So how do you explain the discrepancy between what you've shown us invoices for and what you said was you actually received?
First of all, the 22 million is not just solely ArriveCAN. There was multiple projects we were working on during the pandemic. These were not ArriveCAN contracts, right? There were 3 pandemic.
Yeah, the Auditor General says contracts. They are, but I was asking specifically about the difference between the 9.6 million and the 11 million. You said you got 11 million, but you didn't provide us with 11 million worth of invoices.
we sent hundreds of pages of documents over. I can follow up and make sure that those ones would result to $11 million. Yeah. I've done this again. Like
hundreds of pages doesn't absolve you of the need to provide accurate information.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Like, oh, I sent hundreds of pages. It's like, dude, that's still an extra $2 million. This guy is he is stinking of just corruption.
Sir, and just in terms of the difference between the 19.1 and the 11 million, you started off your testimony by saying that everybody's lying and saying mean things about you. The media is wrong. The MPs are wrong. But you're also now saying the Auditor General's wrong. What are we as a committee to make of the fact that you want us to believe that everybody is wrong in their figures except you, and yet the invoices you sent to the committee don't add up to the figure you said was spent was given to you in relation to ArriveCAN?
So just for a little bit of context, because you're missing a little bit here, at the beginning he gave a big speech, and I'm guessing he's got a lawyer sitting next to him, and then his lawyer's also feeding him lines on his phone. You look over, he's looking down at his phone often to see what his lawyer wants him to say, but at the beginning his speech was this emotional thing, how people were showing pictures of his kids, and there's death threats, and he's this big victim. So that's what he's kind of relating to here. Christian's trying to blame everyone but take accountability for basically stealing our tax dollars.
Yeah, I also said as well, it's in my opening statement that it's this testimony and this committee that have also had death threats against myself and my wife, which had photographs of my kids being taken.
Sir, I'm looking for accurate information on the amount of taxpayers' money that went to your company. Now,
we've invoiced 1,500 times, $22 million.
Well, the invoices do not line up with the figures that you've given. Sir, I'd like to know, for all the money that you earned on this project, after expenses, what was the total amount of money that you and your partner took home from this project?
Great question.
I haven't got the exact numbers after taxes, after expenses, through dividends, but I've told you it's approximately $2.5 million.
Each?
Approximately 2.5. No, in total.
Okay.
That's the 20%.
So you and your partner became millionaires through this project.
Well said.
And you want us to believe that all of the rest of it, in addition to the 2.8 million, were expenses, even though all you did is recruit. I mean, how expensive is a LinkedIn account these days?
$2.5 million over 2 years is 1.25 divided by 2 people.
How many hours? How many hours did you spend working on sending the LinkedIn invitation, sir?
That has no bearing on this project, does it?
I think it does. How much you earn for what work is the question we're asking, right?
Yeah.
And the numbers don't line up. And
just a quick question and a quick answer, please.
Yeah. How many hours did you spend working on this project in exchange for the millions of dollars that you and your partner got for the act of recruiting?
Would have been between 30 to 40 hours every month with the invoicing, with doing timesheets, with doing accounting, with doing paying our resources. And
so what makes you so lucky that you got this opportunity?
Genwis, thanks very much.
So that's his time. You'll see there's another section coming up, but just think of that, man. 30 to 40 hours. I thought he was going to say per week. Even then, that's egregious. 30 to 40 hours per month to make $1.25 million each. Him and Darren Anthony, I think his guy's name is. The two of them. They each get $1.25 million for working 30 hours a month. This is just bonkers. You'll hear in the next segment that Garnett digs in deeper. He breaks it down into a hourly cost. It is disgusting. Let's jump to the next clip here.
Mr. Firth, I want to circle back on some numbers that we discussed in my last round. You told this committee that you and your partner put in about 30 to 40 hours per month over 2 years, and that your take home at the end of the whole ArriveCAN process was $2.5 million. Now, I think your figures understate the reality of how much you made. Your invoices don't line up with your own figures, and your figures don't match the Auditor General's. So I think the realities are understated by your numbers. But even if we...
So just break that down real quick here. So Christian said that he only made 11 million, and out of that 11 million, over 2 years, he made 2.5 million. So it's 2.5 divided in half, 1.25, divide that in half per year. So that would be like, what, 600 or 500 and something, 600,000 per year. But there's a missing $8 million. The Auditor General said there's 19 million. There's some funny stuff going on here.
Take at face value your numbers. So doing that math, say 40 hours per month over 2 years, leading to 2.5 million take home. That would measure out that you earned about $2,600 per hour. So, sir, how do you justify to taxpayers that you as a recruiter were effectively billing them at over $2,500 per hour for your involvement in the ArriveCAN app?
You have to look more about the fact that this is not an hourly job. I mean, it says 30 to 40. I can be working in the evenings. I can be working in the daytimes. I can be working on the weekends. Like, you must appreciate, like, there's a lot more that goes into just getting a set. This is not an hourly job, first of all. And
But I asked you the numbers, right? I just asked you to tell us how many hours, and I did a simple calculation based on your estimates. So, okay, maybe you work on weekends, so you think your weekend rate is $5,000 an hour, and your week time rate is only $1,000 an hour. The point is, I just did the math based on your, I think, respectfully lowball numbers, and they come out to $2,600 per hour. Do you think for Canadians that are struggling under the burden of taxation and other challenges that they face in terms of affordability and cost of living, do you think you can really justify to them that you, who was recruiting other people to do IT work, were billing at $2,600 an hour?
First of all, I don't make this decision. The government obviously sees value in what myself and my firms and firms like us do. So I can't comment on what my hourly wage is. I can just comment on the fact that we've had 55 contracts prior to these ones at CBSA where the government's seen value in everything we do. So
right, sir.
I don't make that decision.
I actually think you make a fair point there. This is a question that I should be asking to the government. If they're paying you at this rate, why are they doing it? And these are questions that I think we need answers to.
This is unbelievable. So Christian's blaming the Liberals now. He's like, well, the Liberals want to pay me this much, so I'm... So throughout this 3-hour testimony, you'll see different members ask different questions. The NDP guy, surprisingly, he asked great questions, and he just nails down on Cameron McDonald and his involvement with him, and Christian Firth gets really squirrely about that. And more importantly, Michael Barrett, which I'll do another video on because there's a bunch of other clips on it, but he drills down on specifically who did you meet with, and Christian Firth refuses to answer. He cites the RCMP investigation. He basically just says, no, due to ongoing investigation, they pin him on it. It's unbelievable. So there is someone at the government there he doesn't want to name. I think my initial thought on this whole thing, what I brought up maybe 3 weeks ago, he's got an inside track here. He developed this relationship with, whether it seems Cameron McDonald for sure, and Min Doan, and maybe some of these, like the Aaron O'Gorman and the Tony Otano. These guys are probably all in on it. I'm wondering if Justin Trudeau is in on this too, or if these guys did it all by themselves. Who knows? It's very likely that these guys got together and said, hey, let's just over-expense this ArriveCan. We'll run it through your company, Christian, and then we'll each take, say, whatever, the $2.5 million. He's likely hiding like 5 or 6, 7 million, because there's 8 million missing from that. There's at least 2 more million missing from what he sent to the government, and there's 8 million missed based on what the Auditor General reported. So there's easily each take a huge chunk of this home. This is just deplorable.
Sir, I want to ask you about Dalian's role in this deal. We found out some very striking things about Dalian recently. As far as you were able to see, what did they do for the $7.9 million that they purportedly got for their involvement in ArriveCan?
I'm sorry, I had no interactions during ArriveCan. They had their own contract, and I had my own. I didn't have any interactions with them.
Did you have any discussions with them before or after the bid?
No, not at all. They were not part of they were not part of any of the 3.
You're telling us you never discussed or the ArriveCan work with Dalian.
Oh no.
Oh, you did discuss it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Did you or didn't you?
Oh, we've spoken about mobile application work. We've never spoken about contracts. Never spoken about ArriveCan specific. It may have been mobile work.
Sir,
applications.
Did you or did you not have discussions with Dalian about the ArriveCan project? The contracts, the work that was done, anything to do with ArriveCan?
This guy, man.
We'd have had conversations, but way after the contracts were awarded. This was nothing to do with back and forth before any contract.
Okay, so do you know what they actually did?
I was not part of their contract. I was not working with them. They were completely siloed doing their work, and I was siloed doing my work.
But you had conversations with them, maybe not, but after the fact.
We never had conversations prior to ArriveCan contract awards. We speak.
Sir, I have one more question. This is respectfully getting nowhere.
Well, you heard it there. Garnet Genuous asking great questions. How much did you make in 2 years, Christian Firth? Oh, it's just 2.5 million. He has pushed that number down, which is disgusting. I think he's right on the money there. It's probably double or triple that. This whole thing stinks. It reeks, absolutely reeks of corruption. One thing I'll note here, I'll show in a future video, I'll dig up some clips, but basically, Christian Firth is looking haggard. He's looking absolutely haggard. If we look here from his opening testimony, his face is looking wrinkled. He is looking bags under his eyes. From the very first scene that we saw here, the very first testimony, he was looking fresh-faced, and he's just in there, he's like, oh yeah, no problem. He probably thought his buddies in the government there would take care of the problem, and then after they got arrested, and it's getting stinkier and stinkier, he's looking nervous. Hence, he's got a lawyer present. And within this testimony, he even consults his lawyer in the middle of it. This thing is starting to crack. Somebody's getting arrested. There's no way the Liberals at this point can wash this under the rug. Trudeau knows full well that this is going to be the downfall. This one scandal can blow up big enough to sway even the majority of the remaining Liberal voters at this point. Because who wants a government that's full of just people using our money and washing it through these phony companies to get rich? That's where we're going to leave this one. We're going to break these out into a question by question basis here. Thanks for watching the end of the video here. Be sure to subscribe, turn on the bell notification. If you want to subscribe to my Moose on the Loose extra channel, I'm starting to put up videos on there too. I'm testing out other content there, still political, Canadian related, also kind of a little bit more global stuff. I've got a video going up there about the DST and the global effects throughout Europe and that kind of thing. Klaus Schwab. If that interests you, go over there and subscribe as well. I appreciate all of you. Thanks for stopping by. I'll keep fighting for the truth here. Stay warm, stay fed. I'll see you guys in the next one.